Come to realize that I am truly a strategist. When it comes down to it, I like solving problems and I like being helpful. So put those things together, and I created CrewLab to help support small businesses, because I do believe that they are going to help save us in America against corporate greed.
Hello and welcome to the SOMO Cowork Member Spotlight. Today we are here with April Jimenez. She is the founder and owner of CrewLab. It's a marketing and branding agency. Mm-hmm. And I would love to start off, first of all, thank you for being here today. And I'd love to start with just a small joy and something that's been really bringing you happiness at this time.
Ooh, small joy. It's a big joy.
Okay, even better.
I have two of them. The first one is my family. I know that sounds really cheesy, but I have a son in high school, I have another son in middle school, and a daughter in preschool. So I am on the full span of parenting, and it's really the most joyful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I know that sounds very cheesy, but it really is. I have an amazing husband who is, I imported him from San Francisco, brought him up to Sonoma County, and he's a firefighter and a police officer, originally a police officer in San Francisco, and is now a police officer in Rohnert Park. Became a firefighter recently, which is a brand new thing at age 51, wow. 52. So experiencing life to the fullest. So we are grateful for our family. And then my second joy is, as Snoop says, me. I'm in a self-discovery phase of my life, and it's wonderful to kind of discover who I am. I spend a lot of time in therapy, going every week to kind of, unveil the what makes me special, and finding my gifts. And it's been a really joyful time in my life, and I've probably never been happier in my entire life. So that's all the good joy in my life. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds very full, very beautiful.
It is. Thank you.
And that's incredible to be doing that self-discovery work. Do you find that went really well in tandem? Because I know it's newer for you to be launching CrewLab, and you've had quite an impressive career in the marketing and branding world leading up to this. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that kind of went hand in hand with doing more of that self-excavating and really looking at all of that?
Absolutely. It's really the crux to why I started the business. It really elevated my passion, and it defined my gifts, as I keep talking about, and helped me identify what I really am here to do for other people, right? The best thing we can do is be in service to others. And so kind of sifting through my 2 decades of experience in marketing and branding, and have been able to kind of identify the pitfalls and the obstacles and the successes and how that affects people, has been probably my biggest lesson through that 2 decades. I'm really good at marketing. It's the one thing I can say with complete confidence. I don't know if I'm a good mom or a good wife, but heck, I know I can do this. So it's been a beautiful experience to unveil who I am, as well as pair that with the experiences of my past and all the different brands and industries that I've worked in. I've come to realize that I am truly a strategist. When it comes down to it, I like solving problems and I like being helpful. So put those things together, and I created CrewLab to help support small businesses, because I do believe that they are going to help save us in America against corporate greed. Mm-hmm. It's a big mission for me to fight corporate greed.
Yeah.
And small business is the backbone of the American dream, and I want to support people who have the small businesses. I know everybody, when you go on LinkedIn, it's really about I support brands. No, I support people who produce brands and build companies, to give them the opportunity to fund their life in a way that feels fulfilling and provides them enough money to support their family, and so that they can be there for them and buy the house, raise the family, send them to college if that's what they want. So it's really a bigger mission, and it's all kind of come together at the same time. And started CrewLab in January of this year, and have watched that even evolve over time, and seeing what really these small businesses really need, and that's a handhold. That's a phone a friend. That's a reach out and ask somebody, do I sign this contract? Do I not sign this contract? Do I, what do I need to do to meet my goals? So all of that comes together, and that's what we do at CrewLab.
Yeah, what have you seen in the first few months? How has that been? What have you been surprised by anything, or how has it been going so far?
I have allowed it to kind of flow and evolve, like I said, and the realization that I've had is really about the individuals and helping them. I want them to feel supported. I want them to be able to take a deep breath and just feel like somebody's got my back. That's really what I've come to terms with, is I want to be that person for them. I want to get to know them on a personal level, like, what makes them excited, what, pisses them off, what frustrates them, because those are all human elements to running a business, and then especially if you have employees, those are humans too. And so we have to make sure that everybody is feeling supported and cared for, and really set up to do their best work.
Yeah, and what is the contrast you've noticed from all the different brands and companies you've worked for to switching to this model? Like, what are the maybe cornerstones that set you up to say this is something that's really needed and it's a hole that's missing?
I watch a lot of small businesses get screwed by outside vendors, and usually those outside vendors are big companies. So it's spending money because they're frustrated and they don't know what to do, and then you have this person calling from X company that has to make their quota and provides you a good intro price, but then it's upped later and maybe you don't actually need it, but you're feeling the pressure. So it's really about quieting that noise, and those are the mistakes that I see constantly, where they are spending money in ways that is not productive for them. And that's again why I'm there to hopefully support them and make sure that they're making better decisions, because everybody likes to tell you what you should do, right? And especially if it benefits them. So and people don't get into business to necessarily be in business, maybe some do, but usually it's because somebody has a craft or a service that they want to provide, right? And they don't really understand the full scope of what it means to run a business. And so my goal in the future for CrewLab is to provide that education and make that accessible to small businesses, so they can understand the landscape, and understand how to move the needle. And maybe moving the needle isn't necessarily revenue. Maybe it's selling, or maybe it's working less. Everybody has different goals. So I want to make sure they're making better decisions to support their goals.
It's a beautiful mission and so needed, as you mentioned, just in the kind of capitalist times we're in. So very beautiful.
Thanks.
And what are some elements that you think people maybe misunderstand about branding? What actually makes a brand feel trustworthy or emotionally resonant, especially today?
Just like any other relationship, time. Time and is what builds trust, and I think that, again, small businesses have the best opportunity to do that because they're there locally. There's a face. There's a relationship that can be built. And just like any relationship, even, large business, small business, it can be tarnished, right? And it's the opportunity that you have to make that right, and that's the customer service. That's the personal element of what small businesses are capable of doing. So building that trust, making sure that the relationship is solid, and that your customers are getting what they're paying for, and they're supported along the way with any pitfalls or whatnot. So it's really about the brand aura, right? A brand is not just about a logo, or a website. It's the full feeling you get, when you think about that brand or that product or that service. So that's really what is a great opportunity. We just got to amplify the voices of these individuals, of these brands, and give them access to more customers and take market share from those big corporates. Like it should stay locally. It should stay small business. It should not be feeding the CEO making millions of dollars every year. So it's always back to that mission for me.
Yeah, and I think sometimes there's businesses that start in that humble and kind of small way, and then maybe they grow or get bought out or franchised. Do you feel like, I think in business there's sometimes this kind of need to constantly keep growing and get to whatever that next thing or step of success looks like. But from your experience, do you feel like there's a sweet spot where you can just kind of be truly in that thriving small business world and not need to keep growing, but just more sustaining?
That is a great question. I've seen, let me start with an example. I've seen in the natural products industry, which I have a lot of experience in, it's very humble beginnings. It's really about providing a better product to the market, right? Healthier, more sustainable, all of that. Good intentions. You get to a point where you're growing so much that you need more money to grow, right? So you take on investors. Investors typically want an out at some point, right? They need to make money on their money. The influence that they have over those brands is a lot of times unfortunate, and it changes things. And then it puts those businesses in a place where they have to make some really hard decisions that affect their home, their family, So currently, there is a movement in the investment circles that I've recognized that are venture capitalists that are looking for businesses that are doing good, and there's a different strategy for them from an investment standpoint on how to, and I'm not super familiar with it, I just know that it's happening, and I have some friends who are involved in that, but at the point in which you need that money to keep growing, there are new investors that are coming to the table who have better intentions, who really want to hold true to the mission and the purpose of the brand and of what they're trying to accomplish, and not trying to pull anything out of the way, right? And make things cheaper so that it can increase profits, right? So that's on the scale of, continuing to grow. The sweet spot, I'm not sure yet. I think I think that's determined pretty much by the individual.
That makes sense,
yeah, because if you keep buying bigger things and more stuff, you suddenly need more money, and so you feel the need to grow your business and get more revenue. So I think it's also a mentality that needs to be paid attention to, like, when is enough? And I have a client right now who is wanting to retire, and take his business, hand it down to his children. And so I'm trying to create a brand for him where it's really about legacy. Look what he's accomplished. He's an immigrant, and he wants something that's good and packaged well for his kids to take on and to keep going with the business. And that's going to bring him pride, So in that case, that's his enough, So those are the kind of experiences that I get to participate in because of the work that I do, and it's freaking phenomenal. I like it. We're hugging at the end, we're like tearing up. It's a really sweet experience, and like that's my enough, right?
What a gift for you to be a part of that,
yeah.
And also for you to be able to hold that space for people when, like you said, it really isn't something that they normally would probably have someone in charge of their branding who they're hugging and crying with as well. I think that's a very special offering to bring to the world. So yeah, and thank you. I know that wasn't, maybe it was a little out of your scope to ask that question, but it is just kind of like building a brand. It's like when do you know if enough is enough? So thank you for just speaking to that.
Yeah, no problem.
And working with brands, what are some of the biggest red flags or patterns you see when entrepreneurs are building or growing their business? Maybe like the different kinds of things that people don't realize are problems until maybe it's already become a big problem, or they've hit a wall, or just investing in the wrong things. Like what do you see that brands or people building businesses can look out for?
Yeah. So big red flags are contracts. Getting into contracts that they don't read or understand. I think that's a really big red flag, and that usually comes again from a big company who's got a 10-page contract coming at you that you're just like, okay, they need it by a certain time, so they're pressuring you, and so you don't have an opportunity to read through it. The legal system is pretty powerful, and whoever has the most money usually wins. So that is something that I encourage every person who is getting into business with somebody else to read through the contract, understand the scope of work, understand what's your responsibility and what's their responsibility, and what the final deliverable is supposed to be. It's unfortunate that it happens, but it's the game. It's the game. Another thing is trademarks. There's only so many words, I guess, to describe a brand, and the big company. There's so many companies out there that have very similar names, right? And again, if you have the money, you win. So making sure that you have a good trademark lawyer. And if everybody needs one, I have a great one. And making sure that you don't have to pivot at any point. So we spend so much time working and building a brand and get our our essence and our words and our logos and all the look and feel, and then you get a cease and desist, right? So that's a big bummer. And having to pivot, and it's so costly, and it hurts your feelings, it really hurts your feelings. I had to do that with CrewLab. I was originally CoLab Crew, and now because my trademark lawyer was able to kind of point out the potential problems down the road, we pivoted, and now it's CrewLab, which actually I like better. So it turned out to be okay, but you got to do that early. If you truly want your business to be long-lasting, that's one of those big red flags. So contracts, trademarks, all the legal stuff. That's the area that small businesses can't play in as effectively as large. So those are the areas that you have to protect yourself in. So, yeah.
Yeah, good points. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So would you mind walking us through what the process would look like for a small business or brand to work with you?
Sure. I give everyone an hour. I just want to get to know you, want to understand your business. I want to know if I can help. right? So I will sit down with any small business for an hour and give them my time for that. From there, it's a proposal. It's a very thoughtful, customized proposal that I provide to everyone. I decide if I need to pull in any experts from the outside. I mean, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. I've worked in a lot of different industries, but there are experts out there, and it's important to ensure that my clients are getting the best information possible. So I let go of my ego on that one and then bring in experts to help me with that. So I work them in. Everybody gets paid the same, including myself, per hour. So it's even along the way, and I think that's important for just fairness along the way. And then we meet often. We meet pretty much once a week. I come with something new for review and work through the project and provide as much information and get as much feedback as I possibly can. I'll include other people who maybe want to participate in the project, from the client side or from my side. It's really about providing the right team, right? The reason why I call it CrewLab is because it's about the crew, right? Workers coming together, the crew getting it done, right? We want to get it done, and we all can sit around a table with experience, perspective, knowledge, and make the best decisions. I really do believe that diversity in perspective is a key component to making great decisions. And so what I try to do with every client is provide that as much as possible. I have a great graphic designer who has done a lot of different, worked in a lot of different industries, and I will use him probably for the majority of the work. But if there's a specialty that I think that is outside of his, specialty, then I will find somebody else. That's the great part about the model that I have is it's a freelance model. So I have a, Rolodex, age myself, of freelancers throughout my career that I have just kept in touch with and worked with and hired for different purposes. And so I pull in those experts when needed, and it really helps the client get the best person for the job and eliminates the need to just use who I have on staff, right? So it's very flexible and it provides the best service to the client.
Yeah, it's a beautiful model that you've built.
Thanks.
And kind of going back to what you said at the beginning of this episode, you mentioned that you may not be good at many things or you don't know everything, but you know marketing. And I'm curious if you could share a little about where you first got that inkling or seed of realizing this was your passion and your thing.
I've always been interested in how people make decisions and what influences them. Not necessarily from a sales perspective, I'm not a salesperson necessarily, but I've always watched ads and been I wonder what they were thinking when they wrote that. When I was younger, it was, these larger brands, and when we had commercials that we had to watch back in the day. I can't forward through them. So, you were susceptible to that. And I was always somebody who was susceptible to marketing. And I wondered why. So it came from a real curious place. And then once I got into the natural products industry, I understood that there was an opportunity to combine purpose with a product. And that's when I really got excited about it. And, there's these natural products industry folks tend to be, they drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, right? So they think that everything that they say has to be about, reforestation or, protecting the planet or this is better for you than that. When it comes down to it, it's fundamentally you have to solve a problem first, right? And so I was watching kind of this this communication challenge that these brands were having. And it got, again, curious. I'm like, okay, well, they have something great. They have a product that's great and that can substitute something else that's bad for them. But y'all are keep talking about the forest, which is true. That's the effect of having sold the product. But so it really got me thinking about, like, okay, how do we bring people into the fundamental element of solving a problem or replacing something in their diet when it comes to food and beverage. And then once we get them in the door, then we can teach them. Then we can show them how it's affecting them. Mm-hmm. So it's just these layers that are just so interesting to me that, once you get, you meet somebody, right? And you're like, oh, we have a commonality. Great. Well, now I'm going to get to know you even more deep, right? And then then you become best friends, right? And you're the person you call all the time, right? So it's the same idea. It's just about relationships, and it's a relationship with a brand in this particular case. But yeah, I think it was just out of curiosity, and that kind of drove me in this direction, and it's everywhere. Like, you can't go anywhere without seeing a billboard or,
It's true.
And I love critiquing ads. It's like one of my favorite things to do is I look at a billboard and I'm like, yeah, nobody's going to understand that, or nobody's going to take that and do anything with it, So it's everywhere. So can't avoid it.
Yeah, there's such a powerful psychology aspect to this, and I also think it's really interesting that at the same time as you developing and building this, it goes so well, as we spoke to at the beginning, of going hand in hand with your own work and working with a therapist, and like having that kind of psychological curiosity and understanding. I mean, I think that's that example you share of questioning all these billboards and these advertisements and really looking deeper. I think so many people, I know for myself, I don't really think that deep into it. I'm kind of just like, okay, like, I don't like question or think about what was the message they were trying to tell me. And I'm like, that already just shows how deeply you're looking into these things. And so for anyone who's maybe looking to develop their brand, or have that support and hand-holding in that small business growth, I feel like that's a really powerful thing to just think about. And yeah, it's not something I think everyone is really critiquing or looking at with that critical eye. So.
Yeah, you should watch when I'm watching the Super Bowl.
Oh gosh, goodness. I'm sure you have like notes.
I have notes. Any sporting event, I've got notes.
Those are the prime times.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody signed off on this.
That's pretty fun.
It's fun. The psychology of consumerism is pretty phenomenal. If I were to continue my education beyond my MBA, I would probably go into consumer psychology. Yeah, that would be the next step. But I got to put my 3 kids through college first.
Yeah, I mean, you're already doing quite a bit. But that's I'm sure fascinating. And just like, before wrapping this up, is there any little mini notes or observations you do have to share about that consumer psychology and maybe using it in integrity versus maybe for that corporate greed?
Yes, that's a good one. Yes, I think we have to be careful. Be careful with how we manipulate people, because really it is that. Marketing is trying to convince somebody to do some action, right? Purchase or whatever. And integrity is key to ensuring that it is a long-term relationship. You date a guy and he cheats on you, probably not going to trust him. That's not going to be a long-term relationship, right? So being careful, and I watch so much manipulation happening on a corporate level that it breaks my heart, because it really does affect real people, real businesses who, spend their money, just like the Temus and the quick shopping and the flash deals and this and that. I see I see a website, and I'll click through those things because I'm susceptible to marketing. But then I see the website and I watch the like slashing prices and the we're going out of business sale and this and that. And it's just like, God, it just drives me crazy to see so much attempt to basically steal your money, and give you a half-assed product. It's sad to see. So I think that's another motivation that I have to ensure that the consumer is being protected too, and so if a small business is not doing things with integrity, not my cup of tea. I will not choose to work with them. Yeah. So it definitely has to be a good relationship between myself and the client to feel good. I'm very much integrity. Like my kids would be like, if you can't lie to mom, even if telling the truth is going to get you in trouble, you got to tell the truth. It's always the best way to go. So that's a huge thing in my house, and it's a huge thing when it comes to business.
Yeah, it's important. And so you have set up here a beautiful office space. You got a cozy couch. You have a little mini fridge. That's very aesthetic. So just bringing it back into the SOMO Cowork Member Spotlight, what has your experience been with SOMO, and how has this been a supportive impact for you and your business?
Well, I have known SOMO. I've been coming here for over a decade and made friends with different individuals in SOMO Village, and I have loved it every time I've come here. I went to the concerts and the different events that they had, and it just feels good here. And then I went into the gym, and the gym was great. And I've been in the fitness industry for a very long time too. It's one of the industries. And there was no like selfies in the mirror with my shirt off kind of situations happening. So I was grateful for that. The equipment was clean. The amenities were lovely. The music in the bathroom was nice. So it was just such a great experience. And then I was like, well, maybe, I just kind of thought of starting my business, and working from home is rough sometimes, especially when you have 3 kids. The laundry is always, trying to get you to come over and pay attention to it. House is always a little bit dirty, you got to clean up. So all those distractions were challenging for me, always pulling me away from the work. So, and then don't talk about summertime. The kids are home and there's no way you're getting anything done. And I believe it was summertime when I started at Cowork. I was like, get me out of this house. So I started out as just like a general member, then moved to a dedicated desk.
I've been thinking of your office, but you're right. You went through the full.
I went through the full experience. And now I have an office, and it's wonderful. I'm office 133, close to the kitchen. It's so lovely. These are my people. This is the small business mecca right here.
Thank you for saying that.
You didn't pay me to say that. But it's really wonderful to be around people who are also, doing their hustle, trying to make their businesses work. And I've had passing conversations with individuals where I'm giving them little tips and here and there, and they're like, oh, thanks, and so it's a really symbiotic relationship here with everyone, and work begets work. It's inspiring. It's inspiring, and then the cute little like breakfast things you all have, the sweet little things that I don't participate in all of them, but it's just sweet. It's it's that office vibe that we love, and that feels good. And but you also have, at least for me, I can close my door and focus, which is nice. And there's no laundry to be done. Y'all take care of the dishes, so that's great. Yeah. So it's been a very productive time being here, and I owe a lot of the progress for my business to Cowork. and the environment. So
thank you.
Yeah. And see your cute little face every morning pop above the computer.
Oh, gosh.
Hello. Yes. So wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying all of that.
Yeah.
And I've seen you also collaborate or connect with other businesses here and collaborate on projects and clients. So really, there's just so many ways, as you mentioned, to be supported here. So I'm so glad you felt that and experienced that firsthand.
Yeah. Well done.
Well, just kind of wrapping up, how can people find you if anyone's interested and wants to work with you? How can they reach you and maybe say hi at SOMO?
Yeah, well, come on by. If my door is open, please come by and say hello. And I'm actually looking at doing some possibly office hours for people to schedule to just come chat and just for free. Just come in, let's talk. You got a decision you need to make and you're not sure how to approach it. I'm happy to help. I seriously would do this for free if I could. But Mama got to bring home some of the bacon. And you can visit CrewLab.co, not com, co. That was taken. One of these days I'll get it. CrewLab.co, or you can email me at april@crewlab.co. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.